Hello everyone, today I'm here with a video that is rather delayed and I'm probably the last person on the planet to do this video. And I can't remember last time I actually did a video like this, but this time I've decided even if it's late, I'm still gonna do it. So it is my favourite books of 2022. So in 2022 I had 7 books that I gave 5-star ratings to. They're not going to be in any particular order. Well, they're going to be in the order that I read them in. And because this video is quite delayed, I'm going to try and briefly just go through them rather than just make it a very long video. So let's get started. The very first 5-star book in 2022 I had in May, and that is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. This is an absolutely gorgeous edition from Waterstones. It's, like I said, absolutely beautiful. I love how it looks, and it's also signed, this copy, so it's always great. So it is a YA fantasy, but I would say it's more on a creepy side. So we've got our main character who goes to a school for girls. One day she gets a letter from her uncle to go and live in Gallant, which is his massive estate, and so she leaves the school, goes to Gallant, but there she finds that there's nobody there apart from a couple of servants. She's not wanted there, and her uncle is long dead. I read it pretty much in one day, pretty much mostly in one go, and I don't really do that very often with books, so I think that should say something as well. I found the atmosphere of this book to be incredibly immersive, incredibly beautiful and creepy as well, and the fact that it's set mostly in this Gallant house, which is most kind of like a character of itself, and all the little hints we get every now and then. There's a mysterious wall there outside Gallant, so there's a little story in there as well, and there aren't that many characters to follow, which I always enjoy in books because it just makes it a little bit more personal, I guess, in a way, and also a little bit more closed off, and adds to the creepy atmosphere and everything. It also has a few diary entries and a few illustrations every now and then, which also adds to the atmosphere, which is, like I said, was the strongest point of this book. My next 5-star was in August, and that is The Whole Truth by Kara Hunter. This is book number 5 in a series. I've never previously read the first 4 books in the series before I started reading this one, but I think you can read them separately. So in this one, it is a part of D.I. Adam Foley thriller series. This one, we've got an attractive student and an older professor. Think you know the story? Think again. But this storyline is only a small part of the story. There is so much more going on. There was not a single boring page of this book. It was like non-stop, constantly going, constantly adding little details for one specific plot line or for another specific plot line. You don't ever get confused with that. We follow different characters as well, but like I said, it's never overwhelming. It's short chapters as well. They're not really even chapters, they're more like little entries, and you get different perspectives from different characters, a little bit snippets from their lives, which is all connected to the story. And this little line of attractive student and an older professor, you would think that that's the main storyline, but no, there's a different plot going on that is related to this, and apparently somebody is just trying to throw off this Adam Foley off of the trail and get him out of action for good. So there's so much more going on in this story. Like I said, it's just absolutely incredible. I kept guessing throughout the whole thing with different mysteries and stuff like that. It's absolutely brilliant, and I highly recommend this one. I loved it also to the point that ever since finishing this one, I've bought the first 4 and now have read the first one in the series, and I would like to carry on with it. So it was absolutely brilliant. The writing style is really easy to read, and you just keep turning the pages just to find out more and more, and we still didn't know something till the very last page. So I think it's absolutely beautiful, brilliant. Another 5-star was also in August, and that is The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. Again, it's quite a pretty edition in here, and there is a rose. I don't know whether you can see or not. There's like an embossed rose in the cover, but it is a YA fantasy. I read The Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of Siren Queen back in the day and really enjoyed that book. So I was a little bit apprehensive going into this one, but I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. In this one we follow a really badass, a really cool character. She has got this plan that she needs to woo the king, the Shadow King, to basically take the kingdom for herself and then kill him. But somebody else is trying to kill him, so now she needs to know who it is to stop it so that she can carry on with her plan. Absolutely loved it. The main character was so strong and she was funny. I love the friendships that she makes. I love her thought process and everything. I love the little chemistry between her and the Shadow King, who's also one of my favorite characters. There's a lot of talk about clothes as well, because our main character, she's into sewing and designing clothes and stuff like that, which added an extra detail because I'm not into that kind of thing. But the writing style made it so much more interesting, and it actually just added an extra layer to the top, and it made the writing even beautiful. So I really liked it, and the plot was going in directions that I wasn't always expecting, and I just absolutely loved it. I learned to care about these characters so much that after a few weeks after reading this book I still kept thinking about them, and it just gave me warm feelings, so I really loved it. My next 5-star was in October, and that is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher, and that was my introduction to the horror genre. After reading this one I'm much more interested in horror, but this one I would say also like a cozy horror, and I've read reviews after that as well saying that it is kind of like a cozy horror. So this one, we've got the main character who moves into her uncle's house, and then she finds like a bunker there with strange writings, and then she finds the entry to all the different alternate realities. But it is horror, as I've already said. Absolutely loved this book. It was quite weird in places. It was not going the direction that I thought it was going to go, but because of the coziness as well, it wasn't exactly too scary, even though it does have definitely quite a few points that I was just scared, and because I was reading it on my own in the dark, it rather added to the atmosphere. But I loved our main character, and there was also a side character who became her friend, and the banter between them is just incredible. It added humour to the story, apart from just being creepy and very atmospheric, and the plot just constantly kept changing direction as well slightly to the very last page, to the very last point. I feel like extra layers were added every now and then, and at the end it sort of changed direction even more. So yeah, I did not find a single page boring at all, and I love the banter between the characters, and it was just great. And like I said, after that it made me want to read more T. Kingfisher and also more horror. Next 5-star for me was in November, and that is She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa. Of course it's a cat book. I will love almost any cat book, but this one was just incredible. It's only a small book. It's obviously translated from the Japanese, and I have specific love for Japanese literature about cats. I like The Traveling Cat Chronicles is one of my favourite books of all time. It's just incredible. But this one is kind of similar in that way as well. So I think if you enjoyed The Traveling Cat Chronicles, definitely recommend this one. It's separated into 4 different stories, but they sort of intertwine together because each story follows a different woman and her cat that is somehow either her cat or just a cat that happens to be next to her, or there's some different kind of stories. So we get the point of view of all the women and also the cat point of view, so we get both, and it's quite fascinating to be in the heads of these cats because some of them are just the sweetest little things. And this book as well, I would say, is very emotional. I cried at quite a few points in this book, and for such a small book I think it's pretty damn good, because it means that it evoked emotions in me with it being so short. So the writing style is very beautiful, very immersive and very emotional, and I just absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. There wasn't much plot to it, I would say. It's more about like an everyday thing, but all of these women have something that they're going through or trying to change, and these cats sort of either help them in a way or just happen to be there. We see their perspective on this event. It's wholesome, it's heartbreaking, it's sweet in places, it's everything. There are so many emotions that are packed in this book, but in a good way. My next 5-star was in December, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which is a sci-fi novel, rather big one. I was reading it with my friend, we buddy read it together, which again added to my enjoyment because we were discussing every chapter, which just was great. But in this one, we've got our main character who wakes up on a spaceship. He realizes that he's there all alone. He wakes up from a coma, and the 2 people that he went there with are both dead. As his memory slowly returns, he realizes that he's there on a mission to save his planet. This book was very interesting. It's definitely, I would say, science heavy. So at one point I thought of giving it 4 stars, but in the end, because of what it was trying to do and the specific friendship that happened in this book, that kind of blew my mind. It was the sweetest thing and the funniest thing as well. I really liked it. And yes, the book has got quite a lot of humor, like funny moments, quite a lot, to the point that I laughed aloud in a couple of them, a few of them even. I just love sci-fi, especially the sci-fi that is set in space and there's like a massive threat to the planet. They're trying to figure it out, and there's this stuff about different planets. I can't really say much because I don't want to spoil anything, so I need to be careful, but I feel like I can't really describe this book without telling much away, so I'm not going to do that. But like I said, it is science heavy, but luckily it doesn't happen too much. So he's got these flashbacks and we get to see the past a little bit and the current situation, how he's dealing with it, how he's living his life on the ship and stuff like that. And there's a lot about space, a lot about what's going on, which I can't really say much again, but it was just incredible. I loved it. The last 5-star book was also in December, and that was Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This book was on my TBR for a very long time, and I finally was in the mood for it, so I picked it up, and good job I did, because I absolutely loved it. So everybody probably knows what this book is about, but we've got Fitz, who is a bastard son of a king in waiting. His granddad brings him to the castle, but instead of being taken in, his dad basically abdicates the throne and goes away to live somewhere remotely. So now they don't really know what to do with him, but instead the king just trains him to be an assassin, and it's basically about his life there training to be an assassin, but also different things that he's going through. We get to see everything from his point of view, so it's from the first person perspective, and I absolutely love this boy. And I would also say it's kind of a cozy fantasy, even though it's obviously an epic fantasy, and it's quite an expansive series as well. I know there are, I think, 5 trilogies altogether for the series, and I'm looking forward to carrying on with it slowly throughout probably a few years, to be honest with you. But I absolutely loved it. I loved being in his head. I love the world that it's set in. I like the friendships that he makes. And there's also a specific thing with animals. Again, I can't say too much, but because I love animals, this just adds an extra layer for my enjoyment. So that was great. I cried a few times with this book again, so it made me really emotional, and the writing style is also very quite immersive. It's beautiful and it transports you to this world of Fitz and everybody else, and I just absolutely loved it. So yes, hopefully that was short and sweet. Please let me know in the comments what was your favourite book of 2022. I'd like to know that. But yes, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Bye!